Osamu and Suna were getting ready for the ceremony when Atsumu plopped down on the sofa in the dressing room and groaned. "Being your best man is super exhausting, Samu. Why did I say yes?" Osamu stood in front of the mirror and tried to straighten his tie, frowning. "Ya did almost nothing, didn't ya? Wasn't Aiko the one who planned everything in the end? But I was the one who helped. Helped my ass. All ya did was agree to what Aiko presented to ya." Atsumu pouted. Osamu was right. Aiko actually did most of the planning. Not because Atsumu put it on her, but simply because she had taken a liking to it. She would always seek out Atsumu advice on whether his brother and Suna would envision their wedding that way. "I should have taken her as witness." "Yeah, then maybe your ass would have gotten married sooner too." Osamu's expression turned blank. He turned around, grabbed a pillow which was lying on the chair next to the door, lashed out and threw it full force into Atsumu face. Atsumu gasped, sat up and looked at his brother's face appalled and pissed off. "How dare you!" Atsumu grabbed the pillow and was ready to lunge when Suna stood between him and his brother and looked at him with raised eyebrows. "Nuh-uh. You're not going to destroy his hairstyle, Atsumu." Atsumu looked at Suna in horror and annoyance, while Osamu peered out from behind Suna and looked at his brother with the widest and most devious grin. Atsumu frowned more and more the longer he looked at the idiot of a brother. Atsumu pointed his index finger at Osamu and scowled at him. He squinted his eyes and spoke in a threatening voice. "I'm only holding back because of Rin, Samu." Osamu shrugged. "It's not my fault if you're such a failure as a best man." Atsumu clenched his hand into a fist, his expression becoming more and more pissed off. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and muttered a few curses and swears under his breath, all of which would involve Osamu in any way, but were not clearly audible to him. Suna chuckled. He couldn't wait to officially be part of this chaotic family soon. He loved the twins. He loved what a close relationship they had, he loved how well he got along with Atsumu, he was one of his best friends. He loved it when the twins played and teased each other, each always wanting to keep the last word. But most of all, he loved Osamu. "Atsumu, where are my flowers?" Atsumu opened his eyes and loosened his fist. He looked at Suna for a moment, perplexed. Flowers? The flowers? The ones I'll be holding when we walk in." Atsumu's eyes widened, his face growing increasingly pale. "The flowers, oh my gosh." He jumped up and ran to the door in a panic. "I'm the worst. Oh gosh, I'll be right back." Osamu looked at Suna in confusion while the latter just laughed. "Did he seriously forget to get you a bouquet of flowers?" Suna chuckled into his fist and shook his head with his eyes closed. "No, he gave the bouquet to Kiyoomi earlier when he was so stressed. He probably just forgot." Osamu scoffed. "That prick. Hey, Atsumu is super nervous. He wants to make our day perfect." Suna walked to Osamu and brought his hands to his tie. "And he always calls me the devil incarnate, yet you're not a damn bit better, Rin." Suna inhaled sharply in acted shock and looked horrified into Osamu's eyes. "What? I am fucking hilarious." Osamu chuckled. "That's why you're teasing my brother right now by making him even more nervous with thinking he forgot your flowers? You gotta have a little fun?" Osamu leaned towards Suna, who had his hand with Osamu's tie on his chest, keeping him from getting any closer to his face. Osamu pouted and gave Suna the puppy dog eyes look. "Kiss me? Make me a Miya first." Osamu grinned mischievously while Suna blushed. He now completely loosened Osamu's tie and pulled it from his neck. Osamu frowned, he had put so much effort into tying it, even if it still looked awful in the end. "Samu." Suna walked to the closet and rummaged in a drawer, while he spoke to Osamu more seriously again. "You and Kiyoomi, you'll get along, right?" Osamu walked over to the sofa and settled down there. He sighed. He's not a bad guy. I know. Suna continued rummaging in the drawer, while Osamu now turned his gaze towards him and frowned. I'm sorry I was such a jerk to you back then in the hospital. Suna paused for a moment and looked into Osamu's eyes in wonder. You've already apologized, haven't you? I know, but I still feel bad about it. Suna chuckled, averted his eyes from Osamu again, and continued searching through the drawer. Make it up by talking things out with Sakusa. Atsumu would be thankful as well. Osamu pouted, slumped back, and crossed his arms behind his head. Yeah, I know. I'll talk to him later, okay? If you promise me there won't be any deaths? That's something I don't promise. Suna's gaze snapped to Osamu, sending him chills down his spine. He flinched and looked at him back with a slightly increasing annoying look. Yeah, alright. I promise. Great. Osamu stood up and walked to Suna. He brought his arms around his waist and hugged him from behind, both blushing slightly. What are you doing? There it is. Suna picked up a red bow tie and turned to Osamu, a wide grin carved on his face. He brought the fly to Osamu's collar and tied it. Perfect. Just as you. Suna chuckled as Osamu pressed a gentle kiss to his cheek. Ready to become a Miya? Oh my gosh, so not. They both chuckled as Osamu held out his hand, ready to marry the love of his life. Come on, let's go. Yes. The ceremony was like a dream. In the end Atsumu had managed to bring Suna his bouquet in time. Everything he and Aiko had prepared was really gorgeous, they had surpassed themselves. It didn't take much time till Suna was an official member of the Miya family, sealing it all with the sweetest, most tender kiss from his best friend Osamu Miya after the two exchanged rings. They were both beyond overjoyed. Osamu and Suna had been together for ages. Actually getting married wasn't a big deal for them either, but somehow today still felt like the happiest day in their lives. They knew they had each other and that was all that mattered. In the evening, when the party had already started, Suna, Aiko and Komori were sitting together at a table, laughing and chatting, when Atsumu suddenly joined them. Rin, where are Samu and Omi? Osamu wanted to talk to him. Atsumu's eyes widened. Oh no. Where did they go? I think they went out to the balcony. Keep your fingers crossed that those two haven't killed each other yet. Suna, Aiko, and Komori each raised both hands up and crossed their fingers. Atsumu chuckled and made his way over to Osamu and Sakusa. Komori and Aiko looked at Suna. Do you think Kyo and Samu will get along? Suna nodded, taking his glass of wine and sipped. Samu has realized long ago that Atsumu and Kiyoomi need each other. That's a relief. Yeah, I think Atsumu would also be relieved if the two of them got along. Suna giggled. Actually, Samu and Kiyoomi aren't that different. What do you mean? Well, they both have totally strong personalities on the outside, you kind of don't necessarily want to mess with them. They often seem cold, emotionless, and actually rather annoyed with everything, but deep inside they're both actually real softies. Suna giggled even more. And when it comes to Atsumu, they're both hopeless. Aiko laughed and Komori beamed. Suna was right. Maybe it was because of that the two of them didn't get along for so long. They were indeed very similar. Their personalities, their mannerisms, their unrelenting love for Atsumu. Suna smiled because he knew even if Osamu would never show it, even if Osamu would always deny it, even if Osamu would convince everyone otherwise, Suna would be the one who would know the truth. He knew that Osamu valued Sakusa, that he always did. He knew that deep down, Osamu really liked Sakusa too. Osamu came back to his friends and walked over to them. He looked Suna in the eyes and smiled at him, his hands in his pockets. Missed me? Always. Osamu leaned forward towards Suna and pressed a gentle, careful kiss to his lips. Suna smiled into the kiss, still happy to now call this man his husband. Everything settled? Yup. We're good. Suna exhaled in relief and Osamu grinned slightly as he thought about Sakusa's last words. Oh boy, I wish I could see Atsumu's face. What's wrong? Huh? What are you grinning at? Ah, nothing. Osamu pressed a kiss to Suna's cheek and then stood behind his chair, leaning his arms over the back and folding them in front of Suna's chest. Suna reached for Osamu's hands and squeezed them gently. The four talked for a while longer and some time passed. Osamu suddenly spotted his brother and Sakusa, who came back completely playful and dreamy. They were both smiling all over their faces, their hands not letting go of each other, not even for a second. Osamu grinned. He said yes. Atsumu literally pulled Sakusa behind him and rushed back to his friends. He was beaming madly, his steps getting faster and faster the closer he was to them. Guys. Atsumu now ran to the table and jumped around in front of them with joy. Oh my gosh guys, I'm getting married too. Suna's, Aiko's, and Komura's eyes widened, they were all perplexed by the words Atsumu just uttered. While Aiko and Suna slowly began to smile all over their faces, Komura's jaw merely dropped, looking at his cousin in shock, stunned that Sakusa was actually the one proposing to Atsumu. Oh my god Atsumu! Congratulations! Yes. I'm so happy for the both of you. Sakusa grinned, he was truly happy. His wide grin diminished a bit as he looked into Osamu's eyes, the gray-haired twin standing with his arms crossed behind Suna's chair. He nodded to Sakusa, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Sakusa smiled slightly, nodding back at him. Osamu couldn't forgive Sakusa so quickly for what he had done to his brother on an emotional level. But he knew he had changed for the better, and he also knew pretty much that Sakusa would do anything to keep Atsumu happy. He could tell that Sakusa lived for Atsumu. Osamu was happy. Happy to see his brother smiling so brightly, happy that with Sakusa Atsumu probably might have the best protector imaginable at his side. Happy that the two of them were finally spending their lives together. Even though he would probably never show it, Osamu valued Sakusa very much. Even though they had their difficulties in the beginning, he couldn't imagine a better brother-in-law than him. The love Sakusa and Atsumu had for each other was magical. Guess there will be one less Miya soon. Huh? You mean one more? Wanna bet you end up calling yourself Sakusa? Ha? Bet. If I win, you'll make me fatty tuna for a month and you're getting nothing. Suna and Sakusa laughed. That's cruel Samu. Osamu smirked. I like that you're on my side. Rin, what the fuck? Suna laughed once more. Okay, if I win, you'll make me fatty tuna and an 𝒖𝒔𝒆𝒅 for a month and of course you'll get nothing. Osamu chuckled. Deal. Deal. So the bet was on. And well, you know how it ended.